Today we're at Silverwood Lake, right next to Cedar Springs Dam, and right up in front of us is 2N33, which we're going to take up to do 2N17X. 2N17X is a short trail, barely 3.5 miles long. It runs parallel to 2N33, which is the Pilot Rock Truck Trail. Don't confuse it with the Pilot Rock Truck Trail, as a lot of people do. To get to 2N17X, you have to drive about a half a mile from the dam on 2N33 to the gatekeeper of 2N17X. 2N33 continues off to the right, the gatekeeper veers off to the left and runs parallel to 2N33, and then it veers off and meets up again with 2N33 about 3.3 miles later. At the end of 2N17X, you then have the choice to take 2N33 or Pilot Rock Truck Trail up through to Arrowhead, up to Pilot Rock, or back down to where you started at Cedar Springs Dam.
Throughout most of this video, you'll be able to see the GPS coordinates at the bottom, so you'll be able to pinpoint every hill and every obstacle. And we're coming up on the gatekeeper. Gatekeeper up to the left, 2N33 Fire Road to the right.
It's hard to tell on the video, but this gatekeeper is very steep, very rutted. That side is closed, you're not supposed to go up there. Very steep, very intimidating.
Well, that was the gatekeeper. If you hit the right line, it's not too difficult. Then you got about another 40 or 50 yards up, and you're going to make a right turn. There's 2 spots to make a right turn in. First one is pretty easy. The second one is a bit of a blind curve with a ledge. I guess I'm taking the second one. A little off camber. Right after the gatekeeper, got a great view of Silverwood Lake. And it's about 100 yards or so to the next little hill. This hill has got a slightly more difficult way on the right. Looks like easier, but maybe steeper on the left. Looks like that was bulldozed. The one on the right is a little more rutted. Neither look particularly difficult. Oop, quite a bit off camber at the top. Very off camber. I have my wheel in that rut. Try to stay out of, but there's really no choice. And just a few more yards to the next hill. And just like the other one, although opposite, this one looks a little more ruddy on the left maybe. A little smoother maybe on the right. A little steep, hard to tell on the video. The popping and cracking you hear is the Jeep flexing. That's how you know that it's off camber. Right, the left side looks a little looser. This right side is not loose at all. A little bit of a blind hill coming up. And then another small hill. A little bit of a downhill with some ruts in it, but not bad. Actually barely even ruts at all. And a view of the next hill coming up in front of us. barely another 100 yards up and to the right. Looks very bumpy and rutted on the right, a little smoother on the left, a little steep, not too bad. Steep, a little bit loose. Spun the tires a little bit. A bit more rutted up at the top to ride the ruts. Not bad at all. Coming down the back side of that hill, a little rutted. Looks like there's two ways down. The right side, probably more rutted. Three ways down. Now just go down the right side. A little bit of a drop off, barely. And just a few yards straight ahead to the next hill. A little steep, a little rutted. I think this one has a bit of a blind turn to the right up at the top. This one's kind of steep, looks a little loose. Would definitely be loose in the rain, but it's dry today. Totally blind at the top. Totally blind. Ooh, too blind. Oh, up and to the right just a bit. Then we've got a downhill on the backside. Not too bad. And then almost immediately at the bottom of that hill, got another little uphill. Smooth on the left, quite a bit more rutted and bumpy on the right. And we can see coming up in front of us what we call Tweedy Hill. We call it that because somebody we know with the nickname of Tweedy flopped his Jeep there a couple of years ago. The first time we ever came up here was a complete total loss. And that used to be the most difficult section here, but the club that maintains it has done some repairs, or they broke it, depending on how you look at it, and leveled it out quite a bit. Still quite intimidating, but nothing like it used to be. There's a bypass on the right, which the last time we came up was more difficult than actually going up the middle. Going up the middle is just kind of long, steep, not as steep as the Gatekeeper, a little rutted and rocky, but not real difficult at all. But if you go around on the right, there's a ledge, pretty steep ledge to the right, and then you've got some rocks up there also to get up, so you might as well just take the hard. It's not even hard really, at least last time we went up it. It is intimidating looking though. Steep and long. Ooh, and loose. Little narrow. Little rocky, but not bad. Little loose at the top. A little blind at the top as well. Straight up. Spun a tire a couple of times. You know, if it was wet or muddy, I probably would have put a locker on. But piece of cake. And we come down the backside. Little hill, barely. And then a few hundred yards further, and there's another hill. Big rut on the right side, right up the middle, it looks like. Got to ride that rut. Deep rut. And a bit of a ledge, too. You go right up the middle. Oh, a bit too much. Bit too steep. So back up a bit and reassess. All right, so the middle was a bit too much. Got up in the air too much. So going up on the right side looks a bit easier. I'll give that a try. Well, definitely the easier way. A little narrow. It's really narrow here. Drop off right down the right side. And these power line guy wires on the left. You want to run them over, but you don't want to go off the side either. Coming up on the next big hill. Not really sure what the best line is for this hill. Can't really see it. Looks rutted on the right, rutted on the left. Go right up the middle. Alright, we get up toward the top. 2 ways to go. Looks like flat fire road on, well, not flat because it's steep, but fire road on the left. We'll squeeze right up the middle. Looks kind of loose. Real sandy. And another hill. Little hill. And now we're riding the ridge.